Welcome to the Timeless Tales, the home of history, where we explore the most significant conflicts and their far-reaching impacts. Today, we are diving into one of the most transformative periods of the 19th century, the Napoleonic Wars. Spanning from 1803 to 1815, this wars reshaped Europe and influenced global politics, economies, and societies. Join us as we unravel the causes, key events, and lasting legacy of the Napoleonic Wars. From Napoleon's rise to power and his ambitious military campaigns to the Congress of Vienna and the birth of modern warfare tactics. We will examine how this pivotal period continues to shape our world today. The Napoleonic Wars, a series of major conflicts pitting the French Empire led by Napoleon Bonaparte against a fluctuating array of European coalitions, began in 1803. These wars followed the French Revolutionary Wars and were deeply rooted in the social and political habits that enrolled France since the late 18th century. Napoleon, who rose to power as first consul in 1799 and later crowned himself emperor in 1804, sought to expand French influence and control across Europe. His ambitious military campaigns aimed to spread revolutionary ideals, establish client states, and weaken traditional monarchies, fundamentally altering the geopolitical landscape of the continent. The early years of the Napoleonic Wars saw France achieve a series of impressive victories, solidifying Napoleon's reputation as a military genius. The Battle of Austerlitz in 1805, often considered his greatest victory, saw the French army decisively defeat the combined forces of Russia and Austria. This battle not only dismantled the Third Coalition, but also established French dominance over much of continental Europe. Napoleon's strategic brilliance and ability to exploit enemy weakness became evident, earning him admiration and fear across Europe. The victory at Austerlitz cemented his position as one of history's most formidable military commanders. However, Napoleon's ambitions extended beyond Europe. His continental system, an economic blockade against Britain, aimed to weaken his arch-enemy by cutting off its trade with Europe. This policy led to widespread economic hardship and resentment across the continent. Moreover, it provoked conflicts with neutral countries and strained relations with his own allies, contributing to the eventual downfall of his empire. The blockade impact was felt far beyond the battlefield, as the shortages and economic instability fueled discontent among Napoleon's subjects and eroded support for his regime, ultimately undermining his effort to maintain control over his vast empire. The Peninsular War, beginning in 1808, marked a significant turning point. Napoleon's attempt to enforce the continental system by invading Spain and Portugal led to a brutal guerrilla war that drained French resources and morale. The Duke of Wellington's British forces, supporting the Spanish and Portuguese resistance, inflicted severe defeats on the French, showcasing the limitation of Napoleon's military might. The conflict dragged on for 6 years, diverting crucial French troops and attention from other fronts. Despite initial successes, the Peninsular War highlighted the challenges of occupying and controlling territories, resistance to foreign rule, ultimately weakening Napoleon's grip on Europe. Napoleon's invasion of Russia in 1812 was perhaps his most disastrous campaign. The French Grand Army, numbering over 600,000 men, marched into Russia with high hopes. However, the harsh Russian winter scorched the earth taxes, and the fierce Russian resistance decimated his army. Only a fraction of the initial force returned, marking a catastrophic loss for Napoleon and a turning point in the Napoleonic Wars. The defeat severely weakened Napoleon's military power and shattered the aura of invisibility surrounding him. It also embodied his enemies and paved the way for the eventual coalition that would bring about his downfall. The failure in Russia embodied Napoleon's enemies. The Sixth Coalition, comprising Britain, Russia, Prussia, and Austria, and other nations, united against France. The decisive Battle of Leipzig in 1813, also known as the Battle of Nations, saw Napoleon suffer a significant defeat, forcing him to retreat into France. This coalition's relentless pressure eventually led to the fall of Paris in 1814 and Napoleon's abdication and exile to Elba. The Battle of Leipzig marked a pivotal moment in the Napoleonic Wars, demonstrating the strength of the anti-French coalition and signaling the beginning of the end for Napoleonic rule over Europe. Despite his exile, Napoleon's story did not end there. In March 1815, he escaped from Elba and returned to France, rallying support and reclaiming power in what is known as the 100 Days. His brief resurgence ended at the Battle of Waterloo on June 18, 1815, where the Duke of Wellington and Prussian forces decisively defeated him. This defeat led to his final abdication and exile to the remote island of St. Helena. Waterloo marked the conclusive end of Napoleon's rule and the Napoleonic era, shaping the course of European history for decades to come. The Congress of Vienna, held from 1814 to 1815, aimed to restore the pre-Napoleonic order and ensure lasting peace in Europe. The Congress redrew the map of Europe, restoring old boundaries and establishing a balance of power intended to prevent future large-scale conflicts. However, the political and social changes sparked by the Napoleonic Wars continued to influence European affairs long after the conquest concluded. Nationalist movements and revolutionary ideas ignited by the wars simmered beneath the surface, challenging the conservative order established by the Congress. The Congress of Vienna effort to maintain stability ultimately proved temporary, as the forces of change unleashed by the Napoleonic era could not be contained indefinitely. The Napoleonic Wars had profound and lasting impacts on military strategy and tactics. Napoleon's emphasis on rapid maneuvering, decisive engagement, and the integration of different arms of the military influenced military doctrines worldwide. The wars also saw the rise of nationalism as a powerful force, inspiring movements for national unity and independence across Europe and beyond. Napoleon's innovative tactics, such as the corps systems and the use of artillery, laid the groundwork for modern military practices. Additionally, the wars ignited a fervent sense of national identity among oppressed people, fueling revolutions and shaping the geopolitical landscapes for years to come. Economically, the Napoleonic Wars disrupted traditional trade routes and economies. The British naval blockade and the continental system led to the rise of new economic centers and practices, paving the way for the Industrial Revolution. The wars also imposed significant financial burdens on European nations, leading to widespread economic hardship and contributing to future revolutionary movements. The blockade crippled maritime trade, forcing nations to seek alternative routes and methods, spurring innovation and investment in industries like manufacturing and transportation. Moreover, the immense cost of the waging war drained treasuries and burdened populations with heavy taxation, exacerbating social and economic inequalities and fueling discontent. The human cost of the Napoleonic Wars was immense. Millions of soldiers and civilians perished, and entire regions were devastated. The wars also led to significant social changes, including the spread of conscription and the emergence of modern warfare logistical and medical challenges. The scale and intensity of the conflict sets precedents for future wars in terms of both strategy and human impact. The widespread use of conscription transformed societies, mobilizing entire populations for war and creating a new sense of national identity. Additionally, advancements in medical care and logistics, through rudimentary by modern standards, laid the groundwork for future innovations in military medicine and supply chain management. Culturally, the Napoleonic Wars left a rich legacy. They inspired a wealth of literature, arts, and music that reflected the tumultuous time. Work by artists like Francisco Goya and writers like Leo Tolstoy captured the horror and heroism of the era. Goya haunting The 3rd of May 1808 and Tolstoy epic War and Peace stand as enduring testimonies to the human experience amidst conflict. The figure of Napoleon himself became a subject of fascination and debate, symbolizing both the potential and peril of concentrated power. A rise and fall continue to captivate imagination and provoke reflection on the nature of leadership and ambition. In America, the Napoleonic Wars indirectly influenced significant events such as the War of 1812 between the United States and Britain and the independence movements in Latin America. The weakening of Spanish and Portuguese control over their colonies due to the European conflict provided an opening for revolutionary leaders like Simon Bolivar to push for independence. The disruptions caused by European powers' involvement in their conflicts allowed for greater autonomy and aspiration for self-governance among colonized peoples. The War of 1812, fought in part over maritime rights and territorial expansions, underscored America's emergence as a global player, while Latin America's revolutions reshaped the geopolitical landscape of the region. The wars also had a lasting geopolitical effect. The reorganization of Europe and the establishment of new power dynamics at the Congress of Vienna set the stage for the 19th century international relations. The alliance and rivalries formed during and after the Napoleonic Wars influenced European politics and conflicts, including the eventual unification of Germany and Italy. The Congress of Vienna aimed to restore stability by maintaining a balance of power among European nations, but the shifting alliance and territorial ambitions that emerged from Napoleonic era laid the groundwork for future conflict, shaping the course of European history for decades to come. The Napoleonic Wars were a period of intense conflicts and transformation that reshaped Europe and had global repercussions. From the rise and fall of Napoleon to the lasting impact on military strategy, economy, and culture, these wars left an indelible mark on history. The Napoleonic era witnessed dramatic shift in power, the emergence of new ideologies, and the dawn of modern warfare. Thank you for joining us on War Chronicles. Stay tuned for more in-depth explorations of history and most pivotal conflict as we uncover the complexities and legacies of past wars and continue to shape our world today.